I wanna die. There's nothing to grab onto. The new door hasn't opened yet because you are the door. You have to become the most expensive thing you will ever buy is a life that doesn't truly belong to you. And I've experienced this in the most drastic ways. And today I will share some things that I've learned along the way because I have the feeling that many people are going through it at the moment. And it is not a fun thing to go through at all, but very necessary. So I try to figure a point from where I can take you into my journey because it is a lot. And I'm not even talking only the last couple of years, but my whole life, right? So I'm still figuring out how I'm going to grab pieces and make sure that I can take you along the way and that you can take what you can take from it and leave the rest for what it is. So a couple of years ago, everything came to one big explosion. That was a pivotal moment for me where I felt that I couldn't go on the same way. And it all came at the same time. It was relentless. Back then, I did a lot of things. I was already into entrepreneurship and I did a lot, like way too much looking back at it. I've worked many jobs. I did many studies, trying a lot of different businesses and things to gain a form of freedom for myself, right? And I tried absolutely everything. I did absolutely everything from affiliate marketing, coaching. I worked years upon years with plant medicine. First of all, of course, deep initiations for myself. And then I started to guide or help guide other people. And then I actually, at the same time, I was running a business. Back then, my biggest desire was just to be completely free in who I was, to have complete location freedom, to have, basically, I've always been a person, I need my freedom. I've never fit in the system. Like, I worked my ass off my whole life. And I always felt like I was dying inside. There was nothing I found that came even close to me feeling content. And it sounds like, you have people that you can just switch a button and be happy. And I couldn't. I tried. I'm sorry. I really tried in everything. And I did it regardless, right? So I had a lot of jobs, high responsibilities from a young age. And I just did what I thought was expected from me. And also, like, my life was always so abnormal that when I came into how do we say that? Sorry. When I became complete responsible, if you look at the law, then all I wanted was to be a normal human being, right? So I have a long backstory, but in short, I didn't go to school until I didn't touch school until I was 18. There were crazy circumstances that made it so that I couldn't go to school, normal, anything. So it felt like I had to prove something to myself. And I started all the way on the bottom. I did a couple of tests and I did better than I expected. So I could get into, I don't know what is like comparable with United States, for example, but I think it's college. And I started down like on the second grade. I don't know if it's comparable, guys, but stay with me. And it cost me like 4 or 5 years to do all that stuff. And not going to lie, it was soul-sucking for me. Always. But I just pushed through because all I wanted was to be a normal human being that fitted in. I didn't want to fit in the system, but I wanted to feel normal. I wanted to feel a part of human life, as you will. After all those years of struggling and feeling like completely ostracized from the collective, I just wanted to have a normal life. And back then I thought, obviously I was 17 going into 18, I thought that was the way I could fix my life. Now, I don't regret school in any kind of way, and I will explain that in a bit. But back to my story, I was going through this. So yeah, I was really going through it because apart from that it was soul-sucking, and it was a constant battle within myself. It felt like I always had to do things that I didn't really want to do, you know, like choosing which degree you want, and then it didn't resonate with me, nothing ever of the school, the stuff that I've learned. But back to what I said about I'm not regretting it, it made me feel very secure within myself, knowing that I could do all those things, knowing that I didn't have any background or foundation within myself, and I still nailed it, you know? So I went through that for 5 years, something like that, and then we could do, I think it's the same as university in United States. Don't pin me down on it, but you know, I wanted to prove myself a little bit that I could do more than that. So I choose to do a higher degree, business studies, and I choose that because the degree that I already had was social work and stuff, and they seemed to be very comparable, and I wanted to do something different and challenge myself. Little did I know, like mathematics and stuff. Whoa, it was a lot, because mind you, I didn't have like basic mathematics. I cannot say I couldn't write, but I had a big disadvantage, right? I had to keep up with a lot of things. So I had to work 10 times harder than the rest, you know, that had like a normal journey of learning things and stacking up knowledge and education and stuff. Later, I know why it was like this, but for now, I did that degree, and because I know I wanted to help people and I wanted to be free and create something of myself. That is what I knew back then. So that took me another 5 years. So mind you, I took a long time to go through this process on a later age. After that, it was like, okay, what am I going to do now? Like in jobs with business study, it wasn't for me, you know. So first, when I came out of school, I landed back into my social degree. And because I had that degree, I could, you know, do quite some things, because there was a lot of work in social work and stuff. So first I started to work with, it was a place for people with severe psychological problems in combination with brain damage, irreversible brain damage. But on top of that, lots of them were also addicted. It was a weird combination or interesting combination of people in one place. It was interesting and intense, very intense. So that's the silver lining of my life, was always like I've always navigated very dark, intense places, always. So I started there, and I worked a lot, and then it was just soul sucking, you know. In the end, I was just my soul didn't want to be there anymore. It was very difficult to get through the day.
You had 3 heart operations. You suffered 2 cardiac arrests. You died twice on the operating table. You had a stroke, and you were diagnosed with an inoperable brain tumour and given 4 months to live.
Correct.
So in the end, I had to be very honest with myself and say like, okay, I cannot do this anymore. So I quitted that. All the while, I was working on my business and trying different avenues, putting all the money that I earned into learning stuff, education, investing in people. Whew. I've put all the money that I earned with selling my soul, basically. Okay, it's not that deep, but it is that deep. Selling my soul, I invested that to learn something that would get me out of that situation, to experience full freedom. And I've been scammed a lot, like for thousands of dollars. Can you imagine that all the money that you earn, specifically in that way, you invested in something that hopefully makes you free of all that, and people just run with your money? Oh, it happened so often. Later on, I've learned a lot from that, but back to the story. So you have to keep in mind, all the while I was building business avenues and trying different things and getting a little bit of momentum. But in the meantime, I was also quite struggling. I was like, if I'm looking back at things, I don't even know how I did it, guys. Like all the things that I juggled at the same time, like my mental state in combination with partying, using drugs, going out, trying to figure out myself, working like at certain points for about 80 hours a week. It was ridiculous if I think back at it now. Around that time, I also started to get in touch with plant medicine and doing deeper work on myself, which I've always done. So it was all interwoven. Stick with it. So I did that for years and years. I was working on myself, and I had these peaks of going very deeply inward and gaining like more understanding about life, and then trying to juggle all those things, trying to find a way out. It was very chaotic, but I managed it for the most until I got in an almost burnout. But fast forward, I started helping, guiding people in a super safe setting, and all the while you also work on yourself and you go to all kind of dimensions, and it was a lot, but it was looking back at it, it was the biggest initiation of my life. It was really like I was a sort of an octopus with 6 arms in 6 different dimensions and realities, and then trying to juggle them all and trying to do a dance and make it look good. No, it was ridiculous, to be honest. But again, it was an intense initiation. That's how I see it now. That's how I can look at it now. Probably will tell a couple of stories about this because, anyways, so all the while I tried to build my business. I was building something to get me out of that situation, right? That was the main focus, get me to a sense of freedom, and I did everything for that, like nights on nights on nights, learning, doing, implementing. And eventually I became successful with it after a long time because I had to juggle all those things. And, every time that I had left, I put it in that all the money that I had. So eventually it became a success. I had my first real success that I really saw like, whoa. And I did like close to $1 million in revenue in a couple of months. In my highest peak, I even did like 200,000 a month and 15,000 in one day. It was mind blowing that with my past, everything that I went through and everything that I tried and all the hours that I put in, and there it was. It was unbelievable. Like, can you imagine, like 15,000 a day, 200,000 a month? It was pure ecstasy. Like, the biggest thing was the realization that I could do something like that, right? But all the while, it wasn't connected with who I truly was. It had nothing to do with where I stand for, or it wasn't bad or something, but it had nothing to do with who I really am and where I really stand for. You know what I mean? It was all built from fear, that is why I eventually couldn't hold on to it, because it sounds fantastic, right? But if you have a business and you do like that amount of revenue, there's a lot of things that are attached to it, right? And so I will go into that a little bit more. But basically, when you have all those things, you have to have a very good overview of your numbers, of your investments and all that thing. And the only thing that I thought was reinvest, with no knowledge, Again, I invested large amounts of money in people that weren't worth even 1% of it, In retrospect, that were the greatest lessons, and I'm happy that I've learned them now. But there comes a lot with it, right? You have people working for you, you have to preserve your money, you have to do your finances, you have to know your numbers. It's like the growth, it wasn't quickly, but it was, a combination of it was built on the wrong energy, right? On quicksand. And on top of that, I wasn't ready to hold that kind of cash flow. And like I said, all in a suddenly I had to steward a lot of things. On top of all the things that I already had going on in my life, I had to, make sure that the people that worked for me did the right things and I put like a lot of time in them, like way more than you should actually, because you have a team so they can take things from your hands. And, you know, and I was very connected to them. I wanted everybody to win, right? So I tried to juggle all those things and learning all those things. And I did like some of the worst investments. And it all came down. It all came down. And I tried like more things. I tried to hold on to it with force and with fear until I found out that if I keep holding on from the same energy and I want to keep building from the same energy, it's not going to work. But as you can imagine, there was so much fear also, because you have to, what then? If everything comes down, what do I do? At the same time, my relationship of 11 years came to an end. So certain things happened. I felt so betrayed by a couple of people that were like my family for years on years, all at the same time, right? So literally everything came down at that moment. Everything. There was nothing anymore. But I'm going to tell you what the power is of that, you know. If there's one thing that I've learned is that rock bottom always has a basement. And for me, it had like an extra layer, and it had like 6 basements. It was off the chain. But, so what did I do? I decided, like, everything was down, already run into the ground, you know. So what did I do? I decided to go travel through Asia on my own. Mind you, the whole financial situation now, I didn't know anything at that point. I was just like, okay, I have to get out. But I already fooled myself before, like going away to another place just for the sake of going away is, you know, are you going away to escape the situation or to really do the inner work, right? Because before that, I have a lot of experiences with going away on my own. And one of them surely taught me a thing, and that was that wherever you go, that's where you are, right? But this time it was different. I moved to Asia for a couple of months. I think in the end it was like 8 months, and I was on my own. And I had time to think, to really think things through. And I had to make very difficult decisions because I had people working for me and I felt very responsible for them. So I kept paying them a long time while didn't have much work for them anymore. Mind you, they also have to pay their rent, their bills. They also have families, right? So I kept paying them, and way too soft for business then, not anymore. Because, oh boy, did I learn. Like people, even at that moment, people were stealing from me still. Money, everything that I did, the money just disappeared. Like it was just crypto, gone. Whatever I did, the money just disappeared from my hands. It was just evaporating at a high speed. Like talking about fear, we connect our sense of safety to our financial situation. Oh boy, did the universe slap me out of that? Because my biggest fear was already there. And what did I do? Which most people say is very irresponsible. I took my last money and I said, I go to Asia. And I go months on months to Asia. Even there, people were fucking me over. Even Airbnbs were fucking me over. Like, it was a crazy ride. So I had to move through all that, had to let go of the people that work for me. And it took a very long time, to really stand for myself and choose for myself and be honest about the situation. And then allowing myself to start over, because that was the whole message. You have to start building from truth. And like I said in my last video, not everybody is here to build in that way, then hence why you see so many people just grabbing money, driving Lamborghinis and be happy. It isn't for me. It isn't for me. I can't. I just can't. So the biggest message was you have to build from absolute truth. And that's why it all has to come down. Because you've built your whole existence on quicksand, on who you are not and who you are not supposed to be. It is not who you truly are. So you have to break it all down and start at the foundation again. That was so clear. And it was so uncomfortable. The things that I had to move through to be where I am right now, it is like, I understand that most people just hold on to the old life and to the old keys. But you know, you cannot open new doors with old keys. So I had to make a decision. I cannot stand on two sides of the fence at the same time. I had to choose. Everything had to come down. Your new life will cost you your old one. So I had to move through that. But that is because it's so important to build your life from alignment. When you are part of a big group of people that are here to transmute darkness, pain, suffering, whatever, into light and build a life that is truly connected to their heart and their soul, there is no other way than to build from the right foundation, because it will come down. It's simple as that. And you will have to deal with the in-between phase where everything came down and all there's left is smoking, dusty pieces of your old life, you know? And that's just where you have to sit in, and it's so uncomfortable, it's so scary, because it is like up until a point that you don't even know how the hell are you going to pay your rent next month. Up until a point that you don't even know if you are going to make it. It is like facing all those fears and trusting in your greatest good, trusting in full alignment, trusting in the right thing, doing the right thing. Because that's already a win. If you do it the right way, that is the win. The right way for you. So what do you do in that awkward middle? The void has the highest potential of birthing new things. But it asks you to trust the process, because it's filled with fear, with attachments, with discomfort, with pain, with there is nothing. There's nothing to grab onto. And normally in life we grab onto all those things and we want to have a sense of control. But in the void there isn't any, and you just have to trust it and you have to embrace it. That is where the seed of your new experience, your new life can sprout. And it needs time. It needs you to sit with it and to have patience before new life can grow from it. Because if everything gets ripped apart and you don't know who to trust anymore, you don't know how to trust life on and of itself, that is the testing ground. That is the testing ground. That is your initiation into your new life. You have to let go of everything that is attached to your old life to get into the new one. This is becoming a long video, but it is what it is. Alignment, no. Oh. For me personally, it also came with a large group of people that I had to let go of. Very painful. But not to go too deep in that, basic thing was, if you want to have a life based on truth, in alignment with your original blueprint, to feel truly fulfilled with what you are building and what you're creating, everything that is not that has to go. And that's painful because it's attached. It is intertwined. A lot of people or things, attachments, are energetically intertwined with you. So that process of letting go, it's hurtful. But at a certain point, you have to know, like, if you cannot be on, like, okay, let me clear this up. It is not that you all in a suddenly have to let go of all the people in your life and you feel like, oh, I'm not, you have a lot of people, they find spirituality, all of a suddenly they are up there and everybody is below them. That is something you have to be very careful of. You, especially the people that you love, you have to take them with you in the journey and at least let them know this is what I need. You know, this is what I need from you. Because there's power in letting people be, but you can also have your boundaries, you know, and you have to state your boundaries to people and let them know. In my case, I don't expect a lot from people at all. The only thing that I needed was honesty. Honesty. Honesty as in my system, and I think I had that for the longest of my life, but it reacts to dishonesty. And for the longest time, I was just lost in the sauce because I didn't see that being reflected in my life. I lost myself completely. There were like way more reasons, of course, but back to the story, the only thing that I needed from those people that was still around me was honesty. Be honest. Be honest with me. And this is a very deep thing, and I will go deeper into this, but because it's a whole story, right? But in all simplicity, be honest. I don't want to be around people and my system is actively rejecting their energy because I feel dishonesty and inauthenticity. That's it. You don't have to be perfect, but just be real and honest. And I get it. Not everybody is there and not everybody can do that yet. You know, everybody has his own process, but you have to protect yourself. If you feel that your system is actively rejecting certain energy and it pulls you down because you are too sensitive, not too sensitive as in too much. No, it is a gift. But that means you have to protect yourself and that gift and distance yourself from everything that is pulling you down, especially if you put up a boundary and people, let me say it like this, they're not capable of it yet. And that's okay. I still love a lot of people dearly, you know, but it doesn't mean that I have to keep letting myself be pulled down by their decisions. What do you do in that space? You have to trust the process. You have to zoom out, see the bigger picture, see the bigger puzzle, and with all the pieces that came down, you can lay a new puzzle. Yes, and sometimes you have to zoom out to see and feel which piece you have to place where, because the puzzle isn't going to finish itself. So it's going to be a dance with letting go, surrender, and still trying to zoom out and see, okay, which, and it's always one piece at the same time. Did you ever see someone puzzle and put 3 pieces at the same time? No, you zoom out, put one piece together and have trust in the process, surrender to the process. You have to know it's all part of a larger puzzle and you have to keep moving the pieces, piece by piece. And within this space, you can even see it as a gift because you are actually pulled to the side to go deeper into yourself, to know yourself on a maybe the deepest level that you ever experienced. If you keep running from it, it becomes very difficult, of course. But if you just surrender, okay, what is this showing me? What does this void want from me? It wants me to explore myself, every part, every piece, without outside distractions. It is all me. Maybe for the first time of my life, it's all me. And I get to explore myself, what I like, what I really think about things, how I cope with my own emotions, how I carry myself with grace through difficult moments. Like I got me. That is what you get to learn. That everything from the point where you got you is bonus. Everything from the point where you know that no matter what happens, you're going to be okay is bonus. Like, can you imagine that? Everything that comes after. And I also experienced that all my biggest fears, I came eye to eye. There was no way out. And they disappeared because I went towards them instead of away from them. And I spent enough time with my fears to see that they were actually not that bad at all. Like, fear what? I had losing what? I had nothing to lose. You know how freeing that is? And how paradoxical that you have nothing, and you came from this world where you build everything pure from fear, but also pure willpower. And you took every inch of power and energy outside of yourself to build something that you wanted, to find out that wasn't what you want, that isn't what you want. So why wouldn't you first find out what you really want? And I said it in my other video, that quote from Covey: the worst thing that you can do is climbing a ladder and then finding out that it leans against the wrong wall. It is terrible, you know. I can tell you that. Back to that, I didn't have any fears anymore. And it was so freeing, because I had the least money I ever had. I had the most reason to shit my pants every day. I didn't even know how to pay my rent. Still today, it's like a lot of things did not fall in place yet. But I have a deep trust, because I am so content with who I am at this point. I feel so free inside of me that nothing can be taken away from me. Like, that is it. Everything that I build from the fullest, most truest version of myself is going to be magnificent. I already know that. You know, there's no doubt in my mind, because how it feels. I purged so many smoke curtains. Like, does that make sense? I purged out everything, my biggest fears. I faced it all. My biggest shames, my biggest fears, that there's nothing anymore. There is not a boogeyman anymore that is like holding me hostage. No mental cage, nothing. I worked through all of it, and it's so freeing. I wish that for everyone, really, because I've been around a lot of successful people. And I don't know what they got going on, but that's not what I want. That's not what I see as success at all. So my whole definition of success has completely changed. And I already knew that in a deep sense, but now my definition of success is completely different. And it has always been different as what the world saw as success. But now I'm so clear on what it means for me. And that is the most important thing. Also for you, that you get clear on what it means for you. So you start building from the right energy, and you start creating a reality that you truly desire. So if you are in that space right now and you feel like, what do I do in the void other than the things that I already shared? Notice that the new door hasn't opened yet, because you are the door. You have to become a living, embodied transmission of all the things that you have learned. A living transmission of everything you know and everything you stand for. That is the door. You are the door. You have to choose truth over comfort in every area of your life. That is the door. Because everything you ever wanted, everything you ever desired, becomes a byproduct of living in full alignment with who you truly are. A byproduct of creation from your original divine template. Stop worrying. Stop worrying. Stop searching outside of yourself. Stop looking around you for doors to hopefully open, knowing that you are the door. Stop throwing tantrums towards God, saying, I want it and I want it now. We've all been in that situation. Like, else I'm not going to do anything anymore. Not going to help the collective. I stop. I don't want to do this anymore. I wanna die. And then you try to manipulating the universe and God into what you want. Well, you get exactly what you want because you get what you need so you can get what you want. You just have to listen and to trust the process. And that's what I'm doing now. And I'm going to be so honest about my whole journey and show you what happens if you choose truth over comfort, alignment over quick fix, and you stay true to yourself and build a life where you can truly be unapologetically you and get paid for it. How exciting is that? That is exactly what is waiting for you on the other side of doing the real work. That is your biggest blessing. Everything comes with a price. If this is the price that you have to pay for your biggest, boldest, most happy, most fulfilling life, is that it? Let's go! I can't wait! Come on! So see this as a recalibration phase. Yes? God is preparing you, or whatever you want to believe in. If you don't believe in anything, it's just you wanting the best for you, preparing you for everything you ever wanted. Because you need the right foundation first. It is for your highest good. Just keep that in mind, okay? Carry yourself with grace, okay? Hold space for yourself, even in that awkward middle. Knowing that you are creating energetic compost for your next life. A life that you truly desire. A life that is truly aligned. And compost, it stinks like shit, but it is valuable nevertheless. That's it for now. Ik ga het hierbij laten. If you need anything, just leave a comment. Maybe you want to share something about your journey. It can help, to just get it out there. You're not alone in this. I'm here with you, and I see you next time. Houdoe.